A blowing agent is a gas that we use to blow the foam, make it expand and create the small bubbles that are trapped to insulate or create the insulation value of the foam. Over the past 30 years, we've gone through many changes with the blowing agents. We used to blow, and I made some notes here that are not on the slide, so forgive me, but back in the 80s, 90s, we blew our foam with R11, if some of you guys know what that refrigerant is. Super easy to make foam with, easy to handle, made beautiful foam, low cost. We were selling foam back then for 80 cents a pound. Then we transitioned into other CFCs that were, it's called 141B, also made a great foam, super low cost, easy to work with, but it had a GWP number of 4,000. Who knows what GWP is? All right, there we go. There's one there. GWP is the global warming potential of a gas or a product. And what that means is when that product is manufactured or foam is created, those gases release out of that foam that are not going to stay part of the product. And where do they go? They're light, so they're going to go up into the atmosphere. And what it does is it creates a layer in the atmosphere that traps heat. So that's what global warming potential gases are. When you talk about the GWP numbers, the higher the number, the worse the product is for the environment. We transitioned out of those CFCs to the hydrofluorocarbons, or the HFCs, and the GWPs on those numbers, just to give you some numbers, was about 1,000, 950 to be exact. And those gases were blown with chlorine, and chlorine is one of the worst elements that you can have in your atmosphere as far as ozone depletion and trapping gases. What we transition to now is the HFOs. And these HFOs have super low numbers for GWPs. They're less than 1, which is great for the environment. And there's a 0 ODP number, or ozone depletion number. So that means any of the gases that go up into the atmosphere dissipate over time and become inert and don't affect the ozone. With the HFCs, everybody's from Texas here except for a couple of you guys from New Mexico, right? Pretty much. It's a 1-inch market here. If you get 2 inches, you're knocking out of the park pretty much, right? On a metal building. These HFOs at 1 inch do not behave like the HFCs did. HFCs could create their own internal heat when you applied them, creating that expansion and your yield and the smooth skin and everything. These HFO gases, as with any product that our government or the EPA makes us switch over to be more environmental friendly, they're much harder to work with in chemistry and manufacturing and other things, right? So when you're with the HFC, or with the HFOs, I'm sorry, when you're applying it to a substrate, it's not generating that heat that foam really is looking for, so it will expand, giving you the yield you're looking for. There's ways to get around it. One is keeping your chemicals in the drum at optimal temperatures. Do y'all know what these gases boil at what temperature? Do you have any idea? It'll kind of blow your mind. These gases are actually active in the drum at 66 degrees Fahrenheit. So they're in the drum and they're starting to move around molecularly, starting to boil. The chemistry is the same thing as you take a Pepsi or a Dr. Pepper Coke bottle and you shake it up. If you open it immediately, what happens? You got a mess, right? The same thing is going on in these drums with the gases and the polyols and everything. They're all in solution when they're behaving properly or under temperature, but when they get out of that temperature range and they're agitated, it's the same thing as opening up a Coke can or a Coke bottle. It's going to probably spew, and then it's just going to go ahead and froth over and continue to froth over. You can't stop it. I mean, that pressure is already built and it's going. What you can do is when you see a drum that's egged out or that looks like it's under pressure, just know that you're already got gases in that drum that are building head pressure, causing that drum to egg out or expand. You might as well just give it 24 hours to sit. And I know as a contractor, you can't always do that, but at least know going into it, you have a potential mess coming on your hands if you don't handle those drums carefully. The HFOs were pretty much mandated by the EPA and our government about 10 years ago for transitions to begin for the manufacturers to move out of HFCs into HFOs. A lot of the manufacturers were dragging their feet, crying, saying, "Oh, we can't make it work," and blah, 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 blah. And then we ran into COVID and then the shortages. And when we ran into COVID, all processes stopped, right? Anything that was mandated, any transitions that were supposed to happen just didn't happen. And they've been kicking the can down the road a little bit. And Honeywell, who makes both the HFC or the 245 FA and the Solstice gases, they got tired of jacking around with the states that are dragging their feet, manufacturers that kept running the HFCs because they made better foam and they wanted to monopolize the market, yada, yada, yada. I won't bore you with all of it, but Honeywell finally just said, you know what, we're just going to phase it out. And through production, their own production, they phased out for the spray foam industry. Like Josh said, January 1st, it was actually December 31st at midnight. You couldn't produce or buy any more of the gas, but some of the manufacturers bought a bunch of that HFC gas or 245 FA, brought it in. You could can it up until a certain date, which was the end of the year. And then, I've even heard of backdating stickers. So point is, if you're spraying an HFC right now, don't.
Get ready for the change.
Just move to the next thing. I mean, it's going to be a difficult transition. We'll help you with that if you want the help. That's what we're here to do. I'm based out of Texas. TALON's an independent rep company. I work with these guys. Spray foam is what I've been doing for the past 25 years exclusively on the manufacturing side. So if you need some help, I am here to help. All the manufacturers, every single one of them, they engineer these HFOs or these closed cells to be sprayed at thickness in the Midwest, Northeast, Northwest, right? That's not what we do down here in Texas. We're a 1-inch market, 2-inch max. If you get a cooler, you might be 4 or 5 inches, something like that. That's a one-off, right? So just know that from the manufacturing side, they put these products together to be most efficient at thickness, which is going to be in those areas that I just mentioned, not for us here in Texas. So we've got to kind of work around their engineering to make these products more efficient or most efficient for us down here in Texas or even New Mexico at 1 inch or 2 inches. Anybody else spraying multiple brands? Yeah, closed cell. So when you do, if you do that, most guys do pour ups, right? You cannot pour up 2 different brands resins together. You cannot do that with the HFOs. It will destroy what's in the drum. And if it doesn't, you got lucky. It's not worth the risk though. And when he's talking about the shelf lives on these foams, the closed cell, the chemistry actually alters in the drum after a certain amount of days. Each manufacturer is different. Whether it's Carlisle, NCFI, Quadrant, BASF, we don't all have just one recipe that we dump in the drum, put our sticker on it. It's not how it works. The A is the A, right? It comes from BASF, Dow, Huntsman, Yentai, which I think they're out of the market now thanks to the tariffs and whatever. But our technology goes into that B drum, that resin drum, and they're all a little bit different. But what I've seen with these HFOs after 4 or 5 months, 6 months is the max, is that not only will it change the physical appearance of it, the texture and your yield will just tank. It can change colors too. I've seen videos of stuff that has come out almost a red color. I won't name the brand, but they're not in this room, so that's good. Or different shades of the yellow. So something's going on in those drums. So I recommend 90 days, get out of your drums if you can. That's the safest policy. So kind of the rules were end of December, the last day of December at midnight, whatever gas you had in your tubs, your tanks, your pigs had to be offloaded and drummed and stickered with a manufacturing date. So if there's an HFC running around out there with a summer sticker on it, manufactured after January 1st, that's kind of a problem. When these guys test, it's their own test, and they monkey with the test to get these numbers. If you see numbers that are extremely higher over everybody else, let's say the average is down here and you've got one that's up here, if it's too good to be true, it's typically not true, right? That's just a fact. Chemistry's chemistry. Yield dictates, density dictates the yield. We all use the same gases. So the R values are all going to kind of come in that same range. Should be somewhere between 7.1 and 7.4 maybe. If you see an 8, sign me up, man. Let's go. You can wipe everybody off the map with the R value. But it's just not legitimate. Roofing foams are awesome with the HFOs. We've been, and I speak for NCFI, we've been manufacturing for 9+ years with the HFOs on the 2-pound and the roofing foam. They've got one of the better roofing foams out there right now. For whatever reason, the HFO gases in the 2.8 to 3-pound range produce a nice foam and great yield.